Yo, what is going on, guys? Matty here with another video. Hope you guys are all having a great day as always. And in today's video, we are going to do a mod list on the 1991 Mazda Miata. I've seen a lot of comments, what's your exhaust? What kind of wheels do you have? So I thought this would be a great opportunity to go over all those questions from the last video. So before we get into it, story behind this car, I picked it up when I was 18. It's pretty beat up. I should be able to find a picture in my camera roll, so I'll put it right here. Okay, now that you guys have seen the car, what it looked like before, it's come a long ways. Clear coat was fading on the hood, on the trunk, rear bumper, front bumper, looked awful. The car did come with these wheels, true TSW wheels. So when you hit a pothole, you don't gotta worry about them bending. Quick thing to mention, I know the car's super dirty. It did rain today. I did rinse it off just before coming here to try to make it look somewhat presentable for you guys. So sorry about that. All right, so let's dive into what's done to the motor. The motor itself is completely stock. There's a cold air intake. Earlier this year, I pulled out the stock radiator just because all the fins were completely bent on the bottom half from this section in the front bumper letting bugs through. So I ended up putting a little bit of mesh here so it could protect my new one. So I ended up going with the Cobalt radiator. You can get this on mossmiata.com. Highly recommend it. Great radiator. I've beat on this car for over an hour, had no issues with it. I have a spec stage 2 clutch with a stock flywheel. I did want to get a lighter flywheel, but they were on back order for up to 8 to 10 weeks. So at the time I was too eager to drive the car, so I said, you know what, let's just go with a stock flywheel. Would I go with a lighter flywheel if they weren't on back order for 8 to 10 weeks? Of course I would. In terms of maintenance, we can kind of touch base on that so you guys can kind of get an idea of what a Miata at 185,000 kilometers looks like in terms of maintenance. The oil pan gasket, valve cover gasket, timing belt, serpentine belt, thermostat have been replaced. All seals on the transmission have been replaced, along with the rear main seal. I did put a new master for the clutch, and I also did put a new slave for the clutch because those were giving me some problems. That ended up fixing that issue for me. I did have to put a used diff in it because I blew up the diff at about, I think it was at 182 was the kilometers, and sure enough, yeah, she just blew up on me, so I had to put a used one in. So now that we got that out of the way, let's touch base on the wheel setup, suspension, brakes, etc. So this car is sitting on some true 17-inch TSW wheels. I can't even find them online. I couldn't tell you what the spec is if you wanted to go buy them yourself. Moving forward to the brake setup, I just put new rotors and pads all the way around. They're not performance, slotted, drilled rotors or anything like that. Just stock for now, just so I can drive around. Moving over to suspension. I'm not sure if you can see in the back there, but there is Raceland coilovers. There's two different types of Raceland coilovers you can get. There is the regulars and the super lows. The regulars are a 1 to 3 inch drop, which we've got the back just about dropped all the way. As you can see, it's pretty good fitment. The ride quality is great on these. Super smooth. Yeah, when you hit a bump, you're gonna feel it, but that's to be expected when you're this low. Would I recommend them? Absolutely. For how cheap they are, that price tag of $900, you just cannot beat. I wanted to touch base on the front end. So I put a whole new front end in this car. There is new ball joints, upper and lower, tie rod ends, and sway bar links where done. Lower and upper control arms. That's it for the front. In the back, I did have to replace both wheel bearings, and I just replaced the sway bar links in the back. So now that we got that out of the way, let's touch base on the exterior. So before I kind of go into the paint, I did have to put in some Amazon special headlights just because you can't see on the highway with the stock ones. These are like $100. Highly recommend them if you just want a budget setup that will get you to where you need to go. Now let's talk about the paint. As you can see, it's a little bit mixy match. You might be wondering, like, man, like, what did you do? Well, I ended up painting certain sections of the car, and then a couple years later, I ended up painting other sections of the car. If we move over to the passenger quarter panel, this is the only section of the car that hasn't been repainted. Anything else, repainted. Including these mirrors. I thought this was a really nice touch, having color matched mirrors. Okay, so on this bottom section here, you can see how there's a texture to the paint. So all of this that was textured was all originally black, and I painted it red because I think it gives it a much sleeker look, which comment down below, what do you think? All right, so before we get into the interior, let's put this down so that we can get some light shining in there. So first thing you'll see is inside the door jamb here, I got this repainted. So moving down here, we have the Roadster floor mats. I highly recommend these, super durable. They fit perfect in here. And I have no complaints about my feet getting caught when I'm pushing the clutch or if I'm pushing on the gas. So moving over to the middle, we have a Bribe shift boot from Amazon. I think it was like 20 bucks. Looks better than the torn up stock one. I put aftermarket speakers in the doors. And then if we come to the back, I see you. So if we move to the back, we got the battery and a 10-inch subwoofer. Alrighty guys, well that sums up the mod list on the 1991 Mazda Miata. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, make sure to absolutely smash that like button, comment down below what you'd like to see. With that said, make sure to subscribe, hit that post notification so you don't miss any future videos. It's Maddie, and I'm out.